Y'all. Firstly, what I want to do, I want to give all praises to Yahweh as I do so by Hamashiach Yahushua. In this video, I made a video about a while ago, not too long ago, where I talked about Abraham and Sarah, and I deleted that video because I wanted to make a whole separate video and kind of like not wrapping up, but talking about the concept of righteous deception, because there are other accounts in the Bible where righteous deception was being used in the Bible, right? But and it was being used with Abraham, and also it was being used with Paul. And I want to kind of break down those two accounts, or those there was three accounts, because you had Abraham, he did it twice, and Paul did it once. But I kind of want to bring all that together into one topic, which is righteous deception. Basically, where you can lie to the enemy for your benefit, right? That's basically what that is. Righteous deception is lying to your enemies for your own benefit, right? So nothing wrong with that, because the Bible says when come out, because somebody may try to say, oh, well, the Bible says thou shalt not lie. When the Bible talks about these laws and everything, these commandments are only inclusive or exclusive to us. There is nobody else in the Bible that these laws are for. Let me just go and show y'all something real quick. Let's bring out these two scriptures. Just real quick. So Romans 9:4. It reads, "Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law." So the law was not meant for anybody else at all. It was meant for specifically us, right? And also, we go to Psalms real quick. Psalms 47, verse 19 and 20. So it reads, "He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord." So basically, these laws and these commandments, it was only meant for us. And it's only like, when anything that pertains to when it comes down to lying or stealing or whatever, like all that is talking about how we shouldn't do those things to our people, basically, right? Because that ties to this verse right here when it says in Matthew 10:16, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." So you know how same thing with Adam and Eve, right? How that serpent tricked Adam and Eve into eating that fruit, right? And the same thing can be done with us. How we can be as wise as that serpent. How that serpent was able to deceive Adam and Eve, right, into eating that fruit. We can do the same thing to our enemies, right? But we don't got to do anything to kill them. We ain't got to worry about hurting nobody. We can just be deceptive with our words. We can be not hurtful. We can be deceptive with our words, basically. How we can kind of get our way, or get out of certain things, get out of certain sticky situations, and lie to our enemies. That is what righteous deception is. And also, let me just show y'all some accounts, not accounts, but just some examples of how we can do certain things to our enemies compared to our brothers, right? So Deuteronomy 23, I'll start at verse 20. So it reads, "Unto a stranger," so strangers meaning anybody that's not a part of our nation, anybody that's not Israel, "unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury," right? So basically, we can for somebody that don't know what usury is, right? So for example, let's say if I ask okay, let's say if I ask somebody for $20, right? Or if they ask me for $20, right? And I give them 20, and they say, okay, I'm going to pay you back, right? So if you pay me back in $20, then that's a fair deal, right? Because it's fair trade, 2020, right? But if I was to say that, oh, nah, you got to add tax, basically saying that, okay, like even though I paid you 20, you got to pay me 20 plus 5. So you got to pay me 25 instead of me paying back 20. You got to pay me back 25 to the 20. That's not a fair trade. That's not a fair deal. You know what I'm saying? You can't tax your brother. You know what I'm saying? Say that, oh, I gave you 20, you give me 25. That don't make it, that don't work. You know what I'm saying? You got to be equal and fair. But with our enemies, with strangers, people who are not our people, we can tax them. You know what I'm saying? They can pay us. I mean, we can pay them 20 and they can pay us back 25 if we wanted to. We can do that if we want to, right? So there are certain things that we can do in the Bible towards our enemies compared to us not doing those things to our brothers, right? So same thing with lying. You can lie to your enemies, but don't lie to your brother. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie to your people. So now let's go again to the accounts where righteous deception is being used. So I'm gonna go to Genesis 12 and start at verse 10. So it reads, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. So basically in this land, like I said right here, there was a little famine. So he had to escape and had to sojourn in Egypt to get away from that famine, right? So verse 11, and it came to pass when he was come near to Slakia, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they shall say they will save thee alive. So basically, he's saying that, okay, I know that Sarah, you're a very beautiful woman, and that a lot of men, when we go into Egypt, they're gonna see you, they're gonna look at you and say that you're beautiful, and they're gonna want to kill me for you. Basically, kill the husband, keep the wife. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole setup of this thing, right? Knowing that he's gonna die if they realize that his wife is Sarah, right? So verse 13 it reads, say I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. So basically, what Abraham is saying, he's telling Sarah, okay, if these people may try to come to us and say, or if these people may try to come to us and cause a problem, just say that you're my sister, right? So it'll avoid me being killed, basically, right? So all of this was a part of a righteous deception, to where Abraham had to lie to the enemy in order to avoid being killed, basically. That's all that was going on. Nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't, no, what I'm saying, incest going on, to where the brother, this wasn't no like Lot situation where Lot and his daughters had sex with him to make, like, no, this ain't got nothing. No, you know what I'm saying? But that all plays a part in, this theme, right? So let's continue to read. So verse 14, and it came to pass that when Abraham was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld a woman that she was very fair. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house, right? So they took Sarah with her to Pharaoh, right? And he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen, and he asses and manservants and maidservants and she asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with the great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So because they took Abraham's wife from him, there was a punishment placed upon the enemies, Pharaoh, right? And the same thing was about to happen in Genesis 20, which I'm going to get in a minute, right? So verse 18, and Pharaoh called Abraham or Abram and said, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, she is my sister? So I might have taken her to me my wife. Now therefore behold thy wife, and take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife and all that he had. So basically, all of this, like I said, plays a part in righteous deception. And even the Most High was in on this. Basically, if they took Abraham's wife or whatever, they would have got punished for that. And the same thing happened in verse 20. Not verse 20, in chapter 20. Let me go there. Genesis 20. So they were not actually brothers and sisters. It was a lie. And it's shown clearly, you know what I'm saying, in those verses, right? So Genesis 20, verse 1. So it reads, and Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country in the well between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. So this was after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, right? So and Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. So this basically like, going along with this lie, you know what I'm saying? She's my sister, and that Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. And God said to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. He said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, she is thy sister. And she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. So basically what he's saying is that, okay, so are you going to sit here and kill me, you know what I'm saying, and my people for something that I didn't know? I'm innocent. I didn't know that, they were brothers. I didn't know that they were that was his wife. He didn't know that. Same thing with Pharaoh. Pharaoh didn't know that was his wife, but they was lied to. A righteous deception. You know what I'm saying? So verse 6. And God said unto him in a dream, yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffer I thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore this man his wife, and he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are dying. It's like Slakia, and all that are dying. So basically, if Abimelech did not give Sarah back to Abraham, him and his people were going to die, basically. So that was going to happen, right? So let me skip down to verse 8. Okay, therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid, right? Then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, Why hast thou done? What hast thou done unto us, and what have I offended thee, that thou brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done these and to me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake, right? So basically, like he said, even in Genesis 12, that if the Egyptians saw his wife, they were going to kill him and take the wife. You know what I'm saying, for themselves, right? So he was just scared of dying. Basically, he didn't want to die. That's all that's going on, right? And yet, indeed, she's my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So when I made a video on this a while ago, saying how basically um, Sarah is like a half sister because they got the same father but not the same mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's a half sister, basically, right? So if somebody want to kind of like, I guess, use that argument that, oh, they were committing incest. I'm not saying that incest was right, you know what I'm saying, but but the Mosaic law, they were not under the Mosaic law at this time, because during the Mosaic law, like you were not able to see the nakedness of your father or of your sister or whatever like that. That was forbidden in the Mosaic law. But before that time, they what's called Abraham, he was, because of course Abraham was before Moses, and the Mosaic law was not pushed or initiated or established until Moses came and gave those laws. You know what I'm saying? But the whole point is that there was this was kind of like a a uh a prototype Mosaic law. It wasn't like they were not under the actual Mosaic law, but they were under like a different like pre-Mosaic law. You know what I'm saying? So it was different around this time in terms of how the whole sister and brother and father thing worked and everything. How if you were the father, if y'all had the same father, it was all right. But having the same father and mother, that's when incest is kind of like the issue. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, basically she's like a half sister to Abraham, right? So the whole point is that in this story, there was righteous deception being used to where Abraham, he didn't want to die. So in order to avoid dying, he lied to the enemy, saying that, okay, this is my sister, right? So now let me go to the third account where righteous deception is being used, right? So Paul and Agrippa. So we all know that, Paul and Agrippa, that I think there was a time where, or in this account, Paul, he was put on trial, basically, right? He was about to be killed. And basically, like Paul, he had to make his case to, like why he shouldn't be killed and how he didn't do anything wrong. All he did was just, like he said, that all he did was just preach the word to the people, and that's it. That's all that he did. He didn't do nothing more, nothing less. That's all he did, right? Now let me start at verse I'll start at verse 25, right? So it reads, But he said, I am not mad. So this after this kind of him responding after he talked about what he was doing. He was just saying that all he did was just preach the word of the prophets and of Moses and preach the word about Christ. And, basically like what a Christian does, right? Just preach the word of God, preach the gospel. That's really it, right? So verse 25 reads, but he said, I am not mad, most noble fetus, but speak forth the words of truth and soberness. Verse 26, for the king knoweth of these things, before whom also I speak freely. So basically what he's saying is that the king also knows of this truth. He knows that Christ died for these people. He knows about like, the prophets in Moses. He knows about this stuff, right? It says, for I am persuaded that none of these things are hidden from him, for this thing was not done in a corner. So basically, like this is playing a part into Paul starting this righteous deception, to where he's trying to convince the king that even he himself knows about this truth, and even he himself may even be like a Christian, right? So that's why he said in verse 27, King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? So it's a question like, hold on, so King, like, do you believe in this truth too? You believe in Christ too? So you might as well be a Christian then, right? So he said, okay, I'm gonna read again. King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? I know that thou believest. 28. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian, right? So as you know, a Christian is a follower of Christ, right? So basically, this was the part of the righteous deception, to where how Paul is almost convincing or trying to be very deceptive, but in a very slick way, not doing anything that's really wrong, but just lying to his enemies to avoid dying. Because as you know, once again, he's about to get killed right now. He's about to get murked. So he has to do something to avoid dying. And that's the whole point of using righteous deception, to avoid dying or anything for your own benefit, right? Lying to the enemy for your benefit, whether it be to live or whatever, but in most cases to live, right? So verse 29. And Paul said, I would to God that not only thou. So he's saying that I don't. But Paul's saying he don't only wants the king to be a Christian and to know this truth. But look, he says, but also all that hear me this day were both almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds. So he's saying, oh, I don't just want you to be a Christian. I want you and your people to be Christians as well. Like y'all might as well, like y'all come to this truth, and we're gonna live good, we're gonna be happy, all that stuff, right? So verse 30, it reads, and when he had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor and Bernice, and they that sat with them. Verse 31, and when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves, saying, this man doeth nothing worthy of death or of bonds, right? Then said Agrippa unto Festus, this man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar. So basically, Paul, he was set free. He did not have to worry about dying. He was all good. And it was all and it was all due to them or him using righteous deception, being wise as a serpent but harmless as a dove. That's all that's going on, right? So hopefully that made sense in this video, that y'all understand the concept of what righteous deception is, to where, like I said, you can lie to your enemy and for your own benefit, basically, whether you want to avoid dying, avoid being killed, whatever it is. Like you can use even today. You know what I'm saying? When that time comes to where they try to come to our houses, you know what I'm saying, and lock us up for not having the vaccine or something like that, right? Like you can be righteous and use righteous. You can use righteous deception. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna drop too much gems, but if y'all want those gems, like just hit me up on my Instagram or something so I can talk about it. But the whole point is, you know what I'm saying, like righteous deception is a common thing that can be used today, and it even was used back then, because Paul and Abraham, they wanted to avoid dying. That's all that was going on, right? So that's just a few misconceptions that I kind of want, or the main misconception I want to clear up was the Abraham and Sarah thing. But that's a few things I kind of wanted to talk about, so that people won't get anything misconstrued and get confused about something, so that they'll really understand these accounts and why Abraham called Sarah his sister, and also why Paul did not die in this moment, right? So that's all I got for y'all. Hopefully I got edified. I want to end this by giving all praise to the Most High, all praise to Yahweh in the name of Mashiach Hawashai. Until next time, shalom.